Okay guys, and welcome to another tutorial video. So in this video, we're going to be learning about blueprints and what they do and basic things that you can do with them. So to start off, let's just go into an actor blueprint. So, open full blueprint editor. Let's just put it there. Okay, so normally it come with an event begin play, but this is like my third time recording this, so let's just put that back in. So event begin play, that's just when you start, like that's when the level opens up, that's what it's gonna pull up, that's when that's gonna happen. But most of the time you don't need that, so just delete that. But what the main thing you're going to be needing is an actor begin overlap. So over in the viewport, so if you have a mesh or a default scene route, you just want to go in here and you want like, I think it's down here, box collision. So this box collision, when something walks into that, that's just going to make it to where, like, that's going to trigger your event overlap. So, but you can go down here and on component hit or on begin overlap. That's what you want to create, and that can create a course, or like that executes when someone, like when, here I'm trying to think of an example, like when you go over a little ball or something, a red ball, and it gives you some health or something. If you're doing something with like shooting or something like that, like it could be anything, medical stuff, whatever. So, but once you get into like level blueprints over here, open level blueprint, you have a whole different thing, because level blueprints, they are unique to the level. If you open a new level, like say you beat a level or something, like that's what you're doing, it's something like with multiple levels, this is only unique to the level. So once you open a new level, like let's just go ahead and just create something random, just like add a blueprint or something, set owner, and then you compile and save, and then you go over here, actually compiled, go over here and you just go into like another map, and I pre-created these for the video, so let's just go into new map and then open level blueprint. See, it's gone now. Like, it's only unique to the level. It's only unique to the level, and yeah, most of the time when you have stuff like actors or something that you want in multiple levels, you don't really want to put that into the level blueprint. You can, but it's just redoing the blueprint every time. Now, see, with like, actually we'll talk about that later. So pawn blueprints and stuff like that. Here, let's just go into here, I'll start with inputs. Okay, so edit project settings. That's how you see your inputs that you have. So project settings, you'll go into input down here, and so like you have like, this is just the default stuff, but like jump will have all these different things that if like spacebar is pressed, that's going to jump your character. That's going to trigger something, and I'll get to that later in the third person character blueprint. But you also have like access mappings, which can be used for multiple things, like move forward and move right. Now you see how it's -1 and +1 for W and S? That just inverts it. So when you press S, it's going to put you into a negative number as you go backwards. But when you press W, it's going to go forward, so it's going to be a positive number. But with move right and left, it's still inverted, but it's a little different into the third-person character, and I'll show you that later when I get to that. Turn rate, that's just when you hold down and it turns and stuff. Turn, once again, turn. That's with like Oculus and keyboard and stuff like that. This one's for the mouse. Look up rate, that's for a gamepad. That's for like controllers and stuff. That's what a gamepad is it's controllers for consoles. Look up, mouse Y, which is up down when you go up and down with your mouse instead of right and left. Okay, so that's basically all for that. Now let's go into the game mode of the third person BP. So the blueprints. Okay, third person game mode. So in this is just like the details panel for your game mode. Like if you went into open full thing, it's just the details panel over here. But this has, like I said in the last video, player controller. Player controller. That's all your player controllers. Game state base, that's like multiplayer and stuff like that. There's also more to it than just multiplayer, but there's another player controller stuff. Pawns. There's your HUD class. So that's when you have like stuff like, once you get into widget blueprints, which I'll get into that later. So that's what that's gonna do. That's your widget blueprints and stuff like that. So let's open the full blueprint. I don't know. I don't think there's any event graph anything in here. Yeah, they didn't do anything. But you see how I don't really know why they do that. It's really odd. But okay, let's go into the third person character. So the character, like I said before, in inputs, this is your gamepad inputs. This is for controllers and stuff, and it's all inverted. So, but you see how it's 45? Like, I'll talk about magic numbers in a minute. But input accesses. So this is just like go straight into there, and this is delta seconds. That's how fast you turn, but it's all multiplied together to get the value. And same with this, and then once you get down into the mouses, that's just go straight, so you don't have to multiply anything, but the target is just whatever you are referring to. So you could get a reference to the character and put it in there, but there's no need to. This is for jump, so when it presses, you have the function jump, which it's not really necessarily a function, but see how it says target is the character. Like, see, it already knows target is the pawn. Like, you don't need to target it because it already knows the target. See, target is pawn. This is for just resetting in VR and stuff, so doesn't really apply unless you're doing VR. Movement info, so this is just like moving forward. WS inverts already because you in the project settings on inputs, it was inverted, as I said. So it's already inverted, so you don't need to do like a multiplied and then invert it and stuff like that. It just makes it faster and less blueprints code behind it. But the vector is just a number, so you have all your pitch and roll and stuff like that, which is just to get it puts that number into here, which then goes into here for world direction. That's your direction and stuff like that. That's your rotation. That's get control rotation. Get right vector movement. That's just the same. Okay, that's for mobile with touching. Like, that's with touching your phone and stuff. So a branch just basically just like, that's for booleans, just true and false. A branch just splits the boolean into, if it's true, it goes this way, and if it's false, like, you have these things. But you don't necessarily, unless there's any type of false thing, like there is a choice, then you don't need a false or whatever one you're using. A branch, yeah, stop jumping, true. Yeah, okay. So if he lets go, if true for let go, it will stop jumping. If it's branch, if it's not branch, if it is pressed, then it's gonna jump. Like, that's what it's basically saying. So the yaw input, that's just the Z. Pitch input, that's just the Y, I believe, right? Yeah, Y. Okay. That's basically it for the third person character. Okay, what else is there? There is, oh yeah, I was going to talk about widget blueprints. Okay, so widget blueprint it's just your UI. So like if you have like a play or option screen or something, you can put like a button in there, and that could be like your play button. And then you go in here, and then like you have like on clicked. When that button is clicked, you can open level, and then you type in your level name or something. Like that will just open when it presses play. It would open level 1 or whatever. Or you could do the same thing with like an options or something. Sorry, I meant to go there. Like an options, and then how you'll notice that you can't put text. Like if you put like text up here, it won't put anything into there. You have to go and put a text box. Text. I might have cap locks on. Text box. And you don't want the multi-line one. That usually doesn't. I haven't looked too much into it, but you don't really need that. You need a text box, and you can just. It just has to be in on the button. See how the name's that. And once you're in the text box, you'll go up here and be like text box. But you'll notice that it doesn't say anything here. That's because that's just the name. And is variable just makes it to where it pops up over here. You don't need that on like the text boxes or anything. But so how you change the text. Down here in context, go like this, and then you go play or something like that or whatever. And then where exactly is the size? There's a size, but there's a size button. I just gotta figure out where it is again. I haven't done too much with widget blueprints. I know that it's somewhere. I just don't know exactly. Well, I'll figure that out, and then in the next, like in the later episode where we talk about widgets in depth, that's just gonna be kind of what we'll go into depth with. Let's talk about materials. Okay, so material, it's kind of like a distinct type of blueprint if it wants to open up. Material, so you have like a base color, and then you go into like a landscape layer blend, and you'll notice like you may be watching this and you're like, oh well, what happened? He never actually clicked anything. Well, landscape, and you see how it's highlighted. When you press enter, it will just pull it up. Like, it has to be highlighted though. It's just the suggested one. Now you go over here to this plus button, and however many layers you have, you can do infinite amount. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just gonna do, I'll just explain with one. Okay, so layer name. Well, that's just your name, so you can just be like dirt, whatever. And then you get a texture. Starter content comes with a ton, or you could use Quixel Mixer. That's just a free software that you can create textures in. It took me a while to figure that out because no one actually said it in a tutorial, so I figured why not say it. But here, let's just go into a texture a material that's the starter content. The starter content comes with. Sorry for, I'm talking a little fast. Sorry. Okay, so let's just go into grass. So grass, there's like so you see how it's super complicated, and that's just because they have lerp nodes with tons of different texture. Well, actually, there's not a ton of different textures. So this is just coordinates and stuff for like how often it's going to apply that texture. Like your base color right here, this is your grass, this is your texture, but all this is to make sure so that a texture is either Quixel bridge usually comes with ones that are 2x2, so let's just say one of these boxes is a 2x2. So you have a 2x2, but when you're down there on your character, it's just repeating a 2x2 all the time, and you can see that repetitive. And macro texture variation helps with that a lot. And all of this is mainly just like, that's a tint. This is all just so that you can go in here, and when you go in here, I'll just go ahead and create a landscape real fast. So you go here and create a landscape. That's where it is in 4.25.3 or 4.25. It doesn't matter about the last number. But before that, it used to be over here. So, but what you're gonna do is you just want to go here and create, and what you're gonna want to do is just, you can just drop the grass, I think. At least you used to be able to. But, okay, so with this, you just go grass, default, landscape material, and you see these like splotches and stuff. That's that macro texture variation. That's what that is. But with that stuff, with the macro texture variation, it has the splotches, but that can be kind of annoying sometimes. But with the landscape material, you can just kind of, okay, I don't want, this is where you can create the blueprints and stuff too. Like, this is just all the blueprints and stuff. But surface, translucency and stuff like that. Over here, you can just adjust all of these and stuff like that. Like, you could go like over here, default value. Like, you can just adjust all of this. Now, but with like shiny things, they have more of a shine on the shininess, like specular or metallic. Metallic is the actual one. Like, the higher this number, the more shiny it is. What's some other stuff? Level, blueprint. I already talked about the user interface. Let's talk about animation blueprint. Okay, so an animation blueprint, that you can just use mannequin skeleton or whatever your skeleton is, and you can use Adobe Fuse to create photorealistic people, and then it can go over to, I forget what website it is, but there's a website, and it will, that you can animate it through there, but it's linked to Adobe Fuse. So when you finish your character in Adobe Fuse, it will be like, transfer over to this, and it's a website. But I've done stuff with it, and it's pretty good. But so what you're gonna want to do is, like, you can just drag these out and just with that, and then you connect them all and stuff like that. You can get complicated with it and stuff like that. But like, as a result, output post, third person idle, like stuff like that. But over in animation, over here, this is where like keyframes and stuff, and you can like, this is where you go and like jump and stuff like that. So here's like the run, like how fast, like, see how it starts off as an idle, and then speeds up and up and up and up, and then until you're like running. But it's like, walk is right here, or this is walk or something. But idle to walk to run fast. Like, that's kind of what it is. You can also like stick like idle up here, and then so like that's idle. But so the okay, so with, yeah, so blueprints, widget blueprints, materials, there's lots more. Like, there's like pawns and stuff like that. Like, there's lots of things like game mode bases, player controllers. Like, these are all blueprint classes, which are different things for blueprints and stuff like that. And there's loads of other things like camera shake, damage type. The tutorials are just kind of like a basic type user interface type thing. Now, let's just talk a little bit about the interface. So, you can package a project. That's how you kind of like, that's if you're wanting to test it out, that just makes it to where you can stick it on a file and transfer it over to a phone or something, or whatever you're trying to do, Oculus, HTC Vive. Over here, that launches it like you actually kind of like were in a game. Like, that's just kind of like if you were opening it on a desktop, launching it will launch it. Like, if you were just double clicking on a desktop or clicking it or something. Landscape, mesh paint. We'll talk about the geometry stuff probably next episode. Foliage is just like you can get starter content and you there's some like starter content and stuff. I don't know if the starter content has anything, but in the Epic Games Marketplace, you can get a bunch of stuff for free and stuff like that. It's really nice. Now you can just go to select and stuff like that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end the video here, but don't forget to like and subscribe, and yeah, yeah, so yeah, bye. Oh, and if you have any comments or anything, like if you have any ideas for another episode or just things that can help me grow and stuff like that, make sure to comment them down below. And yeah, so bye.